I'm going to be researching the fashion retailer Boohoo. This is their website up behind me, and I'm currently wearing an old Boohoo piece of clothing. And this is another example of an old piece of clothing I have. I don't tend to shop at Boohoo anymore because of the quality and how unsustainable an online fashion retailer. They own their products at one between 16 and 30. They are the 10th online leading fashion retailer, having 5% of the market share, having a position within the market of being lower priced but a leading retailer. Boohoo's mission is to focus on maintaining an outstanding customer proposition with the latest fashion trends at great prices, combined with excellent customer service. However, their mission statement does not mention any environment or workers' conditions. A model called Test and Repeat, which they will make a mass batch of items. The company then has their supply chain ramp up production on the best-selling items. Boohoo have had scandals with their supply chain as they have been poor working conditions and underpaid staff in the Leicester factory in the UK. They have been described as modern-day slavery by not following health and safety regulations. It does say they have an approach to measuring and monitoring sustainability. It's a three-step plan, with the first approach being making clothes smarter. It focuses on areas they have the biggest impact on. The second step plan is to make suppliers on a better term. This is to build their team so they know where they are and if their standards are kept. Business taking action by taking responsibility for the way they run the business and the impacts for the best way to achieve this. They also have a planet statement that says we will continue to deliver outstanding growth while ensuring we reduce the impact on the planet. We will not be able to solve the challenges we face immediately. Corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility is referred to as CSR, which is the social responsibility of the business encompassing the economic, legal, ethical and expectations that society has of an organisation at a given point in time. The 4 areas that are in the framework are governance, workers, community and environment. Titus Salt was the first business owner to really implement this as a pioneer for fair work in all employees. We've made several pyramids to help understand, manage and review CSR. The latest pyramid was made in 2016, which included 4 layers. The first layer being economic responsibility. This means for the business to be profitable, which is also required by society. Then we have legal responsibility, which is for a business to obey the law and regulations, which is required by society also. Next, we have ethical responsibility. This is expected by society for a business to do what is fair and avoid harm. Finally, there is philanthropic responsibility, which is desired by society to be a good corporate citizen by, for example, by giving back to the community is being a good corporate citizen. Regarding the first level of Carol's pyramid, Boohoo is very profitable at an economic level. They are in collaborations with companies like Next to get their clothes seen on a website by a new customer audience. Boohoo have 18 million active customers globally, and in 2021, for the 6 months leading up to August 2021, they recorded sales of 967 million. This was a 20% increase from the first half of 2020 and a 73% increase from the same period but pre-pandemic. There are laws Boohoo must follow as part of CSR, as they have a code of conduct in place to make sure they establish the rules and laws under which businesses are expected to operate in. Some of these laws are working wages must be met, also that work conditions must be safe and hygienic. Steps shall be taken to prevent accidents and injuries occurring in the course of work. Workers shall receive a regular and recorded health and safety training, but Boohoo have not proved to be very ethical when it comes to the law section of Carol's pyramid. They have a scandal that was branded one of the worst environmental, social, corporate and governance scandals in the UK. While one of their factories was not paying employees the right working wage, they were getting paid as little as £3.50. This is not in line with the average living rate. With not having any work contracts in an unsafe building, the building has bad toilet hygiene with no risk assessments in place. This is going against the law and putting their employees. This goes against the EU Commission statement, which stresses sustainability. Their statement says the Commission has defined CSR as a responsibility of enterprise for their impact of society and therefore it should be company-led. The companies can become socially responsible by integrating social, environmental, ethical, consumer and human rights concerns into their business, society and operations and following the law. Public authorities to play a supporting role through voluntary policy measures where necessary. For a business to be ethical on a corporate level, the expectations of the business will be responsive to the spirit of the law and not just the letter of the law. Another aspect of the ethical expectation is that business will conduct their affairs in a sustainable way, even when the law do not provide guidance. Boohoo have a business plan. This is to take responsibility that the way they run the business and manage the impact in the best way for the people and the Boohoo working on trying to reduce their textile waste. However, this contradicts with Boohoo currently doing a Black Friday sale, which you can buy a dress for as little as 6p. This is encouraging unethical consumption. The whole fast fashion supply chain from manufacturing to delivering all plays a role in the destruction of the ecosystem, which increases pollution. This is not being ethical towards the planet and people. When the cost of a clothing is low, you must wonder the human cost of making the garment and whether it comes from a supply chain exploitation. Boohoo's mission statement has no mention of the environment sustainability in the statement. This is not stating they want to be in a circular economy. Circular economy is a model that aims to close the gap between production and consumption. This means eliminating waste, reusing, repairing and refurbishing and recycling the existing materials and products as long as possible. That aims at tackling global challenges like climate change, biodiversity loss, waste and pollution. Be philanthropic includes all forms of business giving. It embraces business voluntary activities. They are guided by businesses to decide to participate in social events but not required by law. Boohoo have a commitment to the community. They have been headlines for sponsors of Manchester Pride and supporting the city homelessness and cash donations to supporting those tackling wildfires in Australia. They say they work under 4 pillars: the public sense that business will give back. This is done to enhance the company's reputation and not necessarily for good reasons all the time. However, Boohoo's owners donated over £5,000 worth of toys to disadvantaged children in Manchester over Christmas last season. They said that Cash for Kids is something they were extremely passionate about. What is a B Corp? B corporations are businesses that meet the highest standards of verified social, environmental performance, public transparency and legal accountability to balance profit and purpose. B Corps are aiming for an evolution to culture to redefine businesses' success and create a sustainable society. B Corp works towards reducing inequality, lower levels of poverty and a healthier environment, stronger communities and the creation of more high quality jobs with a dignity and purpose. B Corps use their profits for growth and positive impacts on employees, communities and the environment. The future for B Corps is to drive a global movement of people using business as a good force. The governance aspect of the B Corp Patagonia does well is the stakeholders' feedback and acting upon it. Patagonia collects feedback from all stakeholders to help with their product development and social improvements. Customers' feedback are gathered in many ways, from surveys, emails, blogs, phone calls and reviews. They have a feedback tool which allows employees to give feedback at any time. They collect feedback from external stakeholders like the communities and charities to help them through meetings. They also get feedback from stakeholders and executives through annual meetings and yearly events. Patagonia are very proactive with acting upon their feedback. Boohoo could improve how they get feedback, creating an online survey which customers, employees, suppliers can give their feedback through this. They will help Boohoo act upon improving training for employees and feedback with them through online system after getting employee training days or general recommendations. As part of Boohoo improving their workers, they need to improve their working conditions and pay for employees. They could do this by following what Patagonia do. They fairly pay their employees and give them good benefits including healthcare, childcare, flexible working schemes and pay time off. When considering new factories or elevating current ones, they have a fourfold approach which considers social and environmental practices equally with quality standards and business requirements. They also have a social environmental responsibility team which makes decisions whether they want to work for a new factory. This approach is not currently taken within the clothing industry, but it helps people out of factories which do not share the same social and environmental values as Patagonia. The sourcing and quality staff work closely with the SER team and hold a joint weekly meeting and make supply chain decisions. Boohoo could improve their working conditions by creating a quality team check. Their roles would be to go around to the factories and make sure third parties are keeping their standards up. They would have to go check aspects such as hygiene, safety checks to make sure all employees are being paid right and all benefits are being offered them. To make sure employees to get paid fairly within line with their living rate, they should carry out detailed and continued background checks on their supply chain factories and should also create a health and safety policy which can help management planning decisions within the Boohoo factory. Boohoo, to show their commitment towards the community, they could create their own trial areas as they were well known business with enough profit to take a task out like this. Through this, they'd be able to commit a clear clear and charitable policy that they will follow in the future to be able to help people in need. They would be able to publish this policy so customers can see what they're doing currently and where their goals want to be. Their charity could be to help local children in need, such as the schools or local community support that help children. They'd be able to raise money for these children by better facilities, and would also be able to give back by creating part-time jobs and going in the school once a week for training and skills. Over 40 years, Patagonia has been working to find solutions to the environmental crisis, but they have built their own charity called Action Works. They started this to connect to the commitment of individuals to organisations who work on the environmental issues in the same community. They help support grants working on issues of the area of the land, water, climate and communities. Patagonia funds only environmental work, and they give grants to organisations that identify the root cause of problems and approach issues with a commitment long term to the change. For Boohoo to improve environmental impact, they could reduce their textiles waste by creating a new recycle and reuse system where customers can send back their old Boohoo clothes that they no longer need or have damaged. As Boohoo are known for not creating long-lasting sustainable clothes, this system would help reduce their impact towards landfill. When customers send back their unwanted Boohoo items, they can make these into new clothing which will last. Patagonia make their clothing items sustainable so they do not get damaged and people do not have to buy more of them. They have their own website called Wornwear. This is for people to extend the lifeline of their clothes. In return for this, they get money off their next purchase. They say buying used clothes extends the garment life for about 2 years, which cuts the combined carbon waste and water footprint by 82%. They also have a repair service where people can get their old broken Patagonia ornaments repaired. They say making this easy to repair can make a strong, durable product